excluded from the entire investigation so far?
Well, her turn will come, don't worry about that. Naturally, the CBI is on its own will not do it, but I think Prashant Bhushan has already taken this up in the Supreme Court, and the matter is in the Supreme Court, and I'm certainly watching it with great care because there are a number of conversations in that which implicate a number of politicians. So it's a valuable piece of evidence which will be used, and it doesn't mean that because some of us, you see, who are working outside the government, we have limited resources to do everything at the same time. So therefore we are doing one by one. First we'll catch all the bada ustads and then we'll catch the chota ustads.
Thank you. In the same context, there is a question from the audience. You may like to stand up. This is Neera Radya's purchase of land in Tamil Nadu. They say that why is she not being criminally indicted? And the second is about Chidambaram's election victory in 2009, which is also controversial. Would you like to talk about?
Yeah. Well, as far as the election on Mr. Chidambaram's matter is concerned, what really happened is that he lost. Then there was a recount asked for and he lost. Then another recount was asked, again he lost. And after that, suddenly the returning officer must be some message must have been received, I don't know what happened. But he suddenly gave him the certificate of victory, which is considered as final in an election. It is a clear fraud. It went to this in an election petition, and Madam Shashikala apparently had some agreement with Mr. Chidambaram, but now Jayalalitha has expelled her. So maybe in the next 2 months you will find that front also hotting up quite a lot, and the matter will be pursued in the court.
Sir, another question is whether this judgment of the Supreme Court, whether it's going to be applicable retrospectively, is what Ravi Srivastava wants to know.
Well, no, it will not be, but they will be asked to explain. If anyone who has pending sanction for more than 4 months, he can go and get file application in the Supreme Court and say that it should be deemed to have completed 4 months. Depending on the importance of the case, the Supreme Court will give you a special order at that time. But as of now, it is sanction applications which have been will be filed after the date of the Supreme Court order. But all those pending things can be taken up by the individual parties and taken to the Supreme Court and get a special order for that purpose.
So another question is whether there is any national security angle in the 2G scam.
Yeah.
It has been mentioned in one of the judgments.
That judgment mentions me as having raised it. Yeah, I raised it because, and that is still in the Supreme Court incidentally. And for some reason the CBI doesn't want to touch it. What happened is that 2 companies got the license by purchase, namely Etisalat and Telenor. They both, of course, technically they entered into a joint venture, but they have controlling interests, so it's really their license now. By the back door it has gone, and that is also the advice of Mr. Chidambaram how to do it by the back door. He said you can't sell the license, but you can sell the company. So if the license goes with the company, then what you can do about it? Anyway, the Home Ministry had written a letter to the Finance Ministry stating that we urge that no business be conducted with Etisalat and Telenor because national security could be jeopardized. Why? And incidentally, if you go to the Etisalat Dubai, the headquarters website, they have given the Home Ministry report saying that this is one of the problems they are having. They've given the full description of that Home Ministry charges. The Home Ministry said Etisalat is a company which is based in Dubai, no doubt, but it has deep implications, connections with Pakistan Communication and Telecom Limited, PTCL, should be done with them. They went a step forward and said that the India branch is headed by, the MD is a man called Shahid Balwaz, who was still recently in jail. And we should have no connection with them at all. No public sector activity of any kind should have any connection with them, because he is the right-hand man of Dawood Ibrahim. So this is the Home Ministry report. And this was not brought to the attention of Mr. Chidambaram to either the Prime Minister or Mr. Raja. And so that's one. Second, as far as Telenor is concerned, it also is subscriber base is Pakistan, but its equipment is from China, and they hold that this equipment from China, which will be used in telecom in India, it has a dual purpose of doing cyber warfare also. And if India and China have a conflict, or even India and Pakistan have a conflict, because China has good friendship with Pakistan, these machineries can be used to make your defense computers fail. And therefore it's a national security risk. And so you should not have any business to be done with both these. And unfortunately, we have done business with both of them. And that is still pending in the Supreme Court. But the judges were nice enough to put a special paragraph that Dr. Swamy raised this issue. The government of India is still to give a reply on that matter. But I won't let them. I will get after them.
You haven't mentioned this, but you've been very vocal about electronic voting machines, and I think people need to know a lot about this. So would you like to?
Yeah, well, I'll simplify it. You see, it's a very complex subject. When we had ballot system, we had voter fraud, no doubt. But it was all retail in one constituency, one booth, like that. This electronic voting machine is wholesale fraud. In fact, according to my estimate, I am willing to say it here, I've said it in the court, so it's not it's a part of the public record. 90 seats won by Congress party in 2009 was due to electronic voting machine and not due to the public vote that they received. And the way we approved it is, prima facie, is to show that in each of these constituencies, when you go polling booth wise analysis, there are about 1/3 of polling booths where a party like the BJP or Telugu Desam or Anna DMK gets 0 vote or 1 vote or 2 vote. That's impossible, because in every polling booth, every political party, even Janata Party, has 5 workers in a polling booth, and therefore with their families you have 25 votes. So how is it possible? So anyway, the crux of the matter is that in the High Court, when the Election Commission was opposing my demand for introducing a voter receipt like in the ATM, which the person sees and then tears out the voter receipt and puts it in the ballot box before going out. If you can't do that, let us go back to ballot papers. And today, United States, England, Netherlands, Germany, most of the important nations of Europe, plus Japan, Korea, all use ballot papers for their election. India, Nigeria and Venezuela are the great countries which use electronic voting machines. I don't know whether they are bigger democratic countries than the Americans and the English and the Germans and so on. But anyway, what I was surprised is that the Election Commission claimed that this is a unique machine which cannot be rigged. So I took a couple of friends of mine from Andhra Pradesh, software engineers, and went to the Election Commission to demonstrate. Because the Election Commission invited me saying, you made this public statement, please demonstrate. I went to demonstrate. And they videoed the whole thing. And then my friends, V.V. Rao and Hari Prasad, they both set about working on this, and they started taking the parts apart to to show that the rigging, how it can take place. And suddenly the Electronic Voting Machine, Electronic Corporation of India and the Bharat Electronics Limited, who are present there, objected, saying, no, 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 this is a violation of our intellectual property rights. We have patents and this is all violation of that. These people are stealing our model and all that. And they aborted the meeting. They didn't let the meeting go to the point where I could demonstrate that the machines can be rigged. Now, after that, poor Hari Prasad came to Maharashtra and they said, you stole one electronic voting machine from the election commission and put him in jail here. So, with the support of Mr. Jagdish Shetty, we were able to get him out ultimately. But he spent quite some time in jail. For what? On a fraudulent charge that he had stolen an electronic voting machine and then later on television showed how it can be rigged. He should be given Bharat Ratna for demonstrating that, not putting him in jail. Now the final thing is, I wrote a letter to the WTO because I was Commerce Minister. I was the one who signed the first document on creating of the WTO. So I have lots of friends there. I wrote to them, the World Intellectual Property Organization based in Paris. Does the Election Commission have patent for this electronic voting machine? And reply came that yes, the Election Commission had applied for patent. Then we asked for some clarification. They could not give the clarification. So we wrote to them that this machine is unworthy of being patented. So please withdraw your application. And they withdrew the application. So that was lie number one. Lie number two is that this is an indigenous machine. The most important part of electronic voting machine is the microcontroller which controls the distribution of votes as you press the buttons. And that's the important thing. That is produced by a Japanese company, not by an Indian company. Not produced by ECIL or BEL. It's produced by a Japanese company. I located the Japanese company and asked them that this microcontroller you produce, do you use it in your electronic voting machine in Japan? He said, are you mad? We have ballot papers. We don't use electronic voting machine. So the Japanese company which is selling us the microcontroller is not able to use it in its own country. They use it in Venezuela, Nigeria and India. Three musketeers of world democracy. Now, therefore, the High Court said, the High Court didn't want to go too far because there was an election going on. There would have been so they said, we accept Dr. Swami's view that the electronic voting machine is tamperable. And therefore, the Election Commission should now enter into a full-fledged discussion with all stakeholders and come to a conclusion what should be done. The Election Commission has given an assurance that they will introduce voter receipts. If they don't do it in the next 3-4 months, then I'll go back to the court and say, please supervise this. If tomorrow in the UP elections, if the Congress party gets more than 25 seats, then it is the microcontroller which has won.
Dr. Swami, we have similar worries about the unique identification system that is being forced on us. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, conceptually I'm not against it, but I find all the contracts have been given to cronies of Pitroda and Mr. Rahul Gandhi. Now that's dangerous because if you give all these subcontracts to foreigners, then they are in the future they can be also duplicated and so on. So I would like a comprehensive review, not by the Home Ministry as Nilekani has agreed, but I want a comprehensive review of really good experts, and they should take some experts nominated by opposition also and get a status report on this UID before proceeding further.
The last question is, do you think that the Commonwealth Games scam has been overlooked in the process of looking at 2G? This is from Rudreshwar Malkani.
Yeah, the government has overlooked it because the son-in-law will go in jail once the government seriously. Whose son-in-law?
Robert Vadra.
Yeah, Robert Vadra. I don't know whether he'll remain son-in-law for very long, but yeah, there is a problem there. But the fact is that he has looted. He's considered today in the world as the fastest grown billionaire. And he has got 16 private planes, which all private sectors are now using. He's got hotels all over Delhi. So, I mean, he's really done very well. I mean, we are fools to get degrees and work and, try to earn a good salary. Whereas this man has no degree, nothing. In fact, no member of the Nehru family today has a degree, according to me. So, it doesn't matter if you don't have a degree. Kamaraj didn't have a degree. He was a wonderful leader. But you don't have to fib about it that I got a degree from so-and-so university at such and such time. So I'm saying to you that Commonwealth Games is definitely, see, one good thing about our corruption law, there is no time bar. Even after 20 years you can reopen it. And I'm going to reopen Chidambaram's cases which are 15 years old. One is that in the amnesty scheme he brought 600 crores, which it was clearly he was not entitled to do. Then there is the fair growth thing. There are so many cases. I have got my life full. I don't think I'll ever get retirement at this age. So, corruption cases will never be forgotten, because if the people want to forget, it's a different matter. If the people don't want to forget, sometime or the other, but if you have the government in your hands, then all these things can be done very quickly. But even without government, private citizens can take it up one by one.
Thank you for a wonderful morning, Dr. Swami. May I now